This video is going to be about how to install a SPD 100 sump pump. A couple of tips which would have been useful for us if we knew about it, so maybe it's going to be useful for you. So the very first one is the L-shaped shaft, which is going to the sump pump. What we had to do is we had to modify it a little bit. So this bit of the shaft had to be cut a little bit shorter. The reason for this is that when we were installing the sump, we had quite a bit of water already underneath, so we have to counterbalance the sump a lot. And while we were doing it, the water pushed the bottom of the sump up a little bit, so that resulted in the pre-cut hole being too low. So that's why we had to kind of cut this up, cut this in the middle, and then connect it a little bit after cutting it shorter. And this was actually one of the first gluing for us. I mean, it went well, but it's just not beautiful, obviously. And just very quickly, I'm going to show you which glue we used. We used the Black Swan, and you will need a all-purpose primer cleaner, and then you also need a PVC cement. So get both of them. Where we got the sump pump from, there was only this one on sale. We also did a bit of Teflon taping to one of the joints, which by the seller, the seller is saying it's not required. Still did it, not too much. It's in concrete. It's actually this threaded PVC joint, which is pointing that way. What we also had to do, because we've got a peculiar situation where this pump is actually getting electricity from the ceiling and pumping the water not below surface but kind of up within this channel. There's 1 1/4 inch pipe running through. You can actually spot one part of the pipe in the corner going through the wall and getting outside, and there's a bit of the cabling as you can see. So we had to cut off the connector of the sump pump, which is a bit of a shame, but in case this ever needs replacing, we'll have to cut this one somewhere as well, and then do a WAGO connection and the watertight one. What you can also see here is an alarm. This is actually a MainSpod APEC alarm system, which will be connected onto the shaft. And what it does, when this starts swimming, it will connect, and the other side, actually where there is wired, will start sounding an alarm, which you can just cancel, but at least you know that your pump has failed. So what else was there what we didn't know? It would have been good to know. Yeah, it's funny, I mean, we're probably silly enough, but when the top, the lid comes, there's 2 things you have to do. One, we had to sand off a little bit the inside of this circle, so not this side, but the other side, because this one didn't fit onto the sump. So what we did, sanded this one off a little bit, sanded the outside off, and then they nicely joined together. What we also didn't know, that there was 2 screws here, so the lid is actually being screwed on, and that's kind of hiding the handles. So like without an Allen key you can't pull it off, and that's where we have concreted the lid. So it's kind of getting ready. So that's about it. We've installed this system, which is actually on the wall, and then it runs in a channel on the perimeter of the wall, and then that runs in here. And this is the perfect day for this because there's actually so much water. We were really lucky because when we were installing the channels, the drain channels, it was really dry, and now it started raining, so we can test the sump pump straight away. With the pump, there's another thing what you can do when you want to kind of set up the swimmer. What you gotta do is this here, this little thing can be screwed off, then you slide on the swimmer, and then you screw this one back on. And then when you lift this, I'm not sure if you can hear the click like this. Yeah, there was a little click. Let's try it again. No, you can't hear it. I think it's almost high enough. The water's high enough that, yeah, there's the click. So the water's almost high enough to turn it on anyway. But what you can do when you want to get the swimmer a little bit higher, so to get the pump to turn on higher, push a screwdriver in, don't turn it, just pull the swimmer up or push it down, and you will see that then the click happens a little bit earlier or later. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this video, install this very quickly, and then we'll turn on the sump pump, and that's going to be the first time when the pump is going to be pumping some water out of this sump. What I forgot to say is this, that when you are actually installing the sump pump, screw this bit on, the L shape, screw it on, and then according to how you want it, actually when you're cutting it, it's really a good opportunity to turn this a little bit to the right or to the left, to make sure that the sump pump kind of sits in the middle of the sump. If you're not cutting it, you will, because of where the thread starts, you will end up with a position, so you just need to make sure that you are actually happy with that position. In that case, you're cutting it, then you have to cut it in half and then put a connector in there and then glue it again. So the next stage is to turn on the sump pump for the first time. I'll just have to go to connect this up first, and then I'll be back and we're turning this one on. So the time has come for the very first time to turn this one on. The swimmer is almost actually there to turn itself on anyway, so let's see if it's working or not. I'm just going to pull this up a little bit, and that should turn on the pump. And yes, the pump has turned on. Water is just draining extremely fast, and I need to just leave the swimmer in there, and actually this has now emptied enough water to have the swimmer turn off the pump. Actually, I'm at the moment not sure yet how to change where the pump should be turning off, but I think it's the same, that you push a screwdriver in and then it will turn off a little bit lower. But I'm just going to turn it on. I just want to empty this sump finally, the very first time. Look at this baby. Yeah, and look at the amount of water coming in right now. Okay, I think this is pretty much it what I can tell you about sumps and pumps and the SPD 100. It's really cool. I'm just so glad that this has happened. Yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, subscribe or don't subscribe. I don't even have a channel. I just want this for you, that you don't make the same mistakes what we have made before. Bye now.